Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to lesson 4 for finance and budgeting. Today we are talking about what a surplus is and what a deficit is, and then we're going to do a little bit of calculation with a budget to see if we can determine whether we are at a surplus or a deficit. So let me give you a couple of definitions. What you should know if you don't know what these mean already. The word surplus essentially means having money left over after all of your expenses are paid. That means you have a surplus in cash. So you've spent all your money on, not all your money, you've spent a bunch of money on expenses and things that you have to pay for, and you have money left over in your budget. That means you have a surplus. It's great. A deficit, unfortunately, when it comes to finance and budgeting, means essentially not having enough money to cover your expenses. And so, if you have a deficit, it means that you still owe money to all of your expenses, to some of your expenses. It depends on what they are. Let's take a look at an example that might help explain those two things. So, this example says Monica is 17 and in grade 12. She has babysat for years and recently obtained a part time job at a mall kiosk that sells jewelry. Below is Monica's budget for April. So here's the monthly budget for April that Monica has. Her estimated income. So she's taking her best guess here at how much income she's going to make. From work, she makes $350. And from babysitting, she's guessing she's going to make about $200 for a total of $550 income. Her expenses, well, she wants to save for a Florida trip. That's going to be $50. She has to pay for her cell phone, so that's a $60 bill. She wants to buy clothes, so she's going to budget $100 for that. She wants to budget $80 for eating out. For personal products, maybe she's buying some makeup or something like that. She has $25. For entertainment, maybe she's going to the movies and buying some food. Oh no, that's eating out. Maybe she is going to the arcade with her friends or something like that. It's going to be $100. And she has an insurance bill to pay on the family car. It's $45 for a total of $460 in expenses. Okay. So let's go through some questions that you might be expected to answer based on a budget like this. So A says, list the expenses you think might be fixed expenses. Fixed expenses. So we're looking at all of these expenses here and see which ones might be fixed. Now, if you remember, a fixed expense is an expense that has the same value each month. So from this list of expenses, can you identify, maybe pause the video and try and identify what your fixed expenses are? But I have on my list saving for the Florida trip. She could save $50 a month until she has enough money for that Florida trip. So that is a fixed expense. She knows it's going to be $50 every time. Her cell phone, usually your cell phone bill is a fixed expense. It means you're going to pay $60 a month for it. And finally, the insurance on the family car, that usually doesn't change unless you get in an accident and your insurance rates go up, but it's still a fixed expense. Okay. The rest of these expenses, like going out for dinner, you can budget about $80, but you never really know if it's going to be exactly $80. For entertainment, you can budget $100, and you never really know if you're going to spend exactly $100. So those are not fixed expenses. B says calculate the difference between Monica's income and her expenses and state whether it's a surplus or a deficit. So the difference between her income, which is $550, and her expenses, which is $460. So her income there, $550, her expenses, $460. The difference, if we subtract the two, we have $90 left over in the positive. So we have a positive $90. It's not negative. If it was negative, we would get a different result, of course. So this means because we have a positive $90 left over, Monica has a surplus. She's got more income than she does expenses. Again, if it was the other way around, if she had more expenses than she did income, she would have a deficit. Okay, but in this case, it's a surplus. And C says, what changes could be made so that Monica's budget is a balanced budget? So you might be able to think of some ideas that she could come up with. One idea would be she could, remember before I actually explain this one, a balanced budget means that her expenses and her income are exactly the same. It means it's perfectly balanced. Okay. So, we need to figure out what she might do with that extra money. She could put the $90 extra into emergency savings. Of course, that's what a balanced budget means right there. It means income equals expenses. And so she could put the $90 extra into emergency savings, which would mean it's being used up for emergency savings, and it balances the budget. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you. Thanks.